Vocabio. Master English your way.
Business model, because for it to proliferate so much, it must bring someone loads of money.
Allowing the stuff to proliferate. Do you think this stuff is core to their business model? Why?
A host of proliferating unwritten rules. In social settings,
that each discovery actually proliferates more things that need to be
as we, the internet proliferates in every possible household appliance.
Replace your keyboard and your mouse, and they were illustrating it for that purpose as the way you interface with other technologies. Meta
each other, and by contrast, just to illustrate this, Obama was a very peaceful president. In the last year of his
anti-Semitism is racism, and the way I illustrate that anti-Semitism is racism and not religious intolerance.
Here's how it plays out. As an experiment, we've illustrated it using text-to-video AI.
Iberdrola's global green team. Their stories illustrate firsthand the new pathways provided.
The sustainability measures include disclosing at least 50% of all stages of...
The patient disclosed that, quote, tasting apple pie would trigger
companies to disclose CEO pay. Then they said, okay, we're going to force we're going to force
from a negotiator's point of view, where you can't disclose your hand. I mean, it's a perfectly reasonable.
People favoured requesting users of platforms to disclose their real identity.
Academics, which economists were not incorporating 2 decades ago, like environmental risk.
The space shuttle incorporating the humans on board.
Management practices and really incorporate ways of taking care of our water.
This up with Dennis because Scotland has UNCRC incorporated in Scotland.
Huge area. It's a metropolitan area that encompasses not just sort of the classic urban land.
You have a story that can encompass diverse peoples. Very often you find that people can live.
It is the missions are all encompassing and everything we want to see in them. That isn't what Labour are saying they are.
We're talking about as well, which very much encompasses race, but also transcends it and could potentially be
a individual point of view, or from if you're running a business, I think encompasses all of that.
Absolutely, yes, and thank you.
Showed that access to CPRs is often restricted to the elite, caste Hindus, for example.
And you had green belts that were established to restrict sprawl in the countryside. And what you saw is that rates of private home building
with Chinese companies is severely restricted, not just because of consumer choice in China, but because
we've been thinking about restricting the advertising of high fat, salt, sugar.
A useful but very kind of restricted definition of what you're talking about, which is...
I think something similar might evolve now, because I do think the Ukrainians...
It covers the laws of how society evolves and changes, but then applies something good in your mouth, and that is how we evolve. That's how we grow. So that's how
kind of federal system they might wish to evolve, and to do so unmolested by violence or terror. The parties
middle class and white that specifically wanted us to evolve the collection and to make it
very old buildings that are maybe not very well insulated and use a lot of gas, and they may also be in fuel.
Historically, is to try and insulate policy and government from politics, create independent institutions.
Of course, it's about this system that has insulated them from so long, but that's where they are. They're going to pay over the next...
The Earth from the cold space around us, helping insulate the planet. The problem is that
Flames are also making their way through the insulating putty towards the O-rings.
2007 that Whitehall needs to devolve to cities because cities are real economic units. Cities have to devolve.
It quickly devolves into you're for hatred, you're for censorship.
And in influence, but not necessarily in power, and that he could devolve some authority, maybe have some kind of successor as Yeltsin had done.
And the responsibility those bodies held will be devolved to the front line. That will come with greater
as well as central government, local authorities and devolved government, to build a scaling group to basically sort of
realize that its own people are entitled to the same liberties
been seen as something that soldiers are entitled to, but it's also being used deliberately, as we've seen in
Becca, you actually wrote a paper a few years back that was entitled How to Change the Story to Save Our World.
Latest book, memorably entitled Bad People and How...
It has established itself as you're not entitled to your own opinions. You're entitled to your own opinions, you're not entitled to your own facts on fiscal...
States in diverse schools outperform white students in predominantly white schools.
Has outperformed all expectations, and Europe has
made the mistake of thinking racism is something we can outperform when that's never the case. We can't outwork.
But I did think Trump would outperform his polls. I did think I was going to his rallies in the last couple of weeks.
The unlikeliness of investment managers to outperform the markets over time. And this is something that
is whenever you seek to oppress or exploit another group.
In terms of protecting the human rights of all oppressed minorities. And if you look at what white...
That because Asian men and black men are oppressed because of their race, you shouldn't call out their sexual...
That was in power by oppressing its people. The Chinese government today is not...
To oppress their populations, that it's been the tool of authoritarian government.
Peter, the end. Have you speculated? Have you pondered it, how this ends?
Well, Margaret's so eloquent.
Obviously, I don't really want to speculate too much about that or what will happen next, but it did strike me...
ability to speculate actually goes through a lot of David's work. And
these cost technologies pull things through. Let's not speculate because we're not very good at that. We're not good at planning. Whereas the Chinese
aren't real. And that had kind of been speculated about for years. There have been some investigative...
But it's also true, and here I'll happily concede something to you, that we differ from cats profoundly in that we...
Really strong statements, and I think Rebecca's kind of conceded, if I understood her right, that at least a third of the...
Huge that want to concede on that. However, it's not at all clear...
kind of exercise to get us to concede to things that, he has, no...
Question. When would the United States concede to China's success? It would be when China...
Between the 16th and the 19th century, which reproduces in.
Oh, wow. The creatures with the most success in reproducing pass their traits to their lineage, and so on.
Johnson now, and he can just reproduce it.
I was
So it helps us, it helps males reproduce by controlling the production of sperm.
So places where culture is stored and reproduced and so on and so forth. Can you tell us?
Anecdote is like something that you can extrapolate to prove your point. A story.
Relatively cool parts of the world. If you then extrapolate that to parts of the world which are...
can really work, and we can extrapolate it based on various types of trends, like what percent...
the simplistic method of taking market capitalization and extrapolating it linearly, exponentially, which I see a lot of journalists in economics.
If you extrapolate the curves that we've had so far, right? If you say, well, I don't know, we're starting to get...
The politics is crucial. It infuses everything that the generals do. So I wanted to bring that out.
You're infusing and surrounding everything you do.
Use and stop infusing Eurocentric ideas and perspectives into its
founding, but also infused maybe with a certain spirit of discovery and possibility.
We are champions of openness, infusing the greatest innovations from the community. We
represents more than just a position. It symbolizes the power of perseverance for me.
Who campaigned with a chainsaw that symbolized his promise to slash the corrupt bureaucracy.
And the real tribal divide in our society symbolize the deepest differences about what kind of people we want.
Came to nothing. The country that was symbolizing that idea also.
And does the inequality so vividly symbolized by the billionaire class
very, very hard for us to kind of disentangle one from the other in a way to either
if you like, and becomes hard to disentangle. But I think that Trump's instincts such
chapters, it's impossible to disentangle art from religion.
And these are vast. so that disentangling them, it becomes almost impossible.
It is impossible to disentangle yourself from this without creating toxic politics in your country, and also
revisited my breakdown and was really shocked to
and possibility. Revisiting Virginia and Virginia history for this book after
the deep history, so it made me revisit my idea of Britain, and particularly I'll think
about the Cultural Revolution now, revisiting it in her mind.
Because at that stage,
want to revisit, I go back to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Vocabio, available in Google Play. Download, discover, improve your English.